What's up, everybody? I'm Ivan Vargas. Welcome back to another Bear Show on the Tape Never Lies Network. It should be a oh, so I got a playback going. Sorry, it should be a great show tonight. Let me go ahead and get right into it. We have a Super Bowl review. We're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame selections: Devin Hester, Mongo, McMichael, and of course Julius Peppers. But let's go ahead and make sure we give you guys the proper preparation to go ahead and prepare for. I'm losing it right here. I can't find this picture for DDP's breakdown, chapter 2 of the Caleb Williams tape. I'll find the promo in a second. Either I'm gonna be frustrated trying to look for it, or I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you guys. So, but DDP's breakdown of Caleb Williams, chapter 2, the junior tape, should be a great one. I know a lot of people are excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great one, man. Like, to be honest with you, if you saw the freshman tape, the Oklahoma tape, you started to see some of the things DDP and Shane and me and Cars and other people have been clamoring about Caleb Williams. The quick release, I mean, the lightning quick release, the decision making. It's right when it needs to be, and not a second later. All right, it's something to get really excited about, especially if the Bears can select Caleb Williams #1 overall for the Chicago Bears in this upcoming draft. I'm looking forward to this upcoming breakdown from DDP. If you are a patron, if you're not a patron, you will not be seeing this breakdown of Caleb Williams junior tape. You'll be in the dark, waiting to either hear about it, or, if you're smart enough, you'll become a patron tonight and you'll get to see it with the rest of us, because it should be a great breakdown. All right, let's go ahead and get into this show because we got some stuff to talk about. Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 58. I thought overall, not bad. Not bad at all. I was very entertained top to bottom. Uh, the football game started out a little bit slow. You thought the Niners were in control, but you knew there was obviously going to be a counterpunch from the Kansas City Chiefs, and it definitely landed. A lot of those counterpunches that the Chiefs throw usually land. So, we watched an entertaining game all the way up into the end, into overtime. I was very pleased with the overall performance and the overall play of the football game. Like I said, started out a little bit slow, but in the end, very, very, very entertaining. And I was happy, got to enjoy a good football game. The better team won. I would say the better quarterback won. Although Brock Purdy isn't necessarily a guy that I'm going to poo-poo. There's a couple missed throws, but he had a lot of pressure in his face that could have changed the game. But like I said, in the end, the best quarterback won the football game for his team going away, and that was Pat Mahomes. Halftime show was pretty good. I liked it. I liked the Usher halftime show. Usher still looking pretty youthful. I don't know, was he 50, 60 years old? Something. I mean, I don't want to age him or anything like that, but still looking pretty solid. Like I said, overall the game and the performance, I was happy with how the Super Bowl played out. I would be happier if the Bears were in it, obviously, but just to enjoy a football game and be entertained, I was thoroughly entertained yesterday. So congratulations to the NFL for putting on a good show in Vegas. It was a good show in Vegas. We'll give them that. As far as the game is concerned, some questionable things, some questionable decision making on the side of the 49ers. Once again, Kyle Shanahan, questionable calls, deciding to go away from Christian McCaffrey in the third quarter, deciding to take the ball instead of allowing your defense to see if they could come up with a big stop, or even hold them to a field goal on that first drive in overtime. You end up taking the football. They stop you. They stop you on third down. Fourth down, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to go for it, but they end up settling for a field goal in overtime, and that was it. That was all she wrote. As soon as they settled for the field goal, I was like, all right, here goes Mahomes, 70, 80, whatever have you, yards down the field for a touchdown. And, like clockwork, it happened that way. So there was, again, Kyle Shanahan, for all his greatness, for all the good things that he does as a head coach, for all the praise that he gets, there's still this issue here of getting over the hump in the Super Bowl, and it's got to be gut wrenching to them. It's got to be gut wrenching to their players. Christian McCaffrey, like I said, I thought Christian McCaffrey should have been leaned on a lot more in the second half. I was expecting him to get at least 25 to 28 carries, try to slow them down, try to slow the clock down in the second half with the lead. And it just wasn't that. It didn't happen that way. So again, questionable decision making on the side of Kyle Shanahan leads to the defeat of the 49ers once again at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs, 25-22 in Super Bowl 58. Like I said, I was glad that they didn't force feed Taylor Swift on us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be a Chiefs hater. I just hate the sideshow right now because it's being just so thrown down our throats. But either way, I thought that, the Chiefs deserve the win. Travis Kelce, very frustrated on the sideline after that Pacheco fumble. Went ahead and, Andy had no fucking clue. Like, Andy had no clue what was coming at him. And he almost knocked Andy Reid to the ground. You can see Andy's clipboard go, or his call sheet go. And you can see the frustration on Kelce's face. I thought that was, it was shocking a little. I mean, not that shocking because it's a football game, right? I mean, you see that shit all the time, and I'm sure that's not the first time they've had a shouting match. But it was just like, oh shit, like Andy's getting fucked up as Travis Kelce is barreling down on him, and I was just like, man, I guess you could be frustrated. I know you want to put on a performance, but whatever the game plan is, you got to trust that Andy Reid knows what he's doing, man. You got to trust that, hey, I understand it. You've been frustrated. You've only gotten so many targets. You've only gotten so many yards. You gotta stay a little bit more composed than that. You're a two-time Super Bowl champion. You've been with these guys. You gotta stay focused in that time. That's all I could say about Travis Kelce. Super Bowl champion, didn't have a great game. Yeah, he was frustrated. Yeah, he bumps Andy Reid, but like, other than the bump and like the almost near takeout, that's something that that's a football team. That's a football player and a coach. I mean, we all see Andy Reid as this lovable walrus. You know what I mean? Is this lovable big red, machine guy, or big red fluff ball of a guy. But hey, it is what it is. Like, I'm sure that this is something that's happened before. Andy could hold his own. He's a grown man. Travis Kelce, just don't fucking bump your coach again. Don't do it again. It looks bad on you. It looks bad on your team. If you lose that game, then everybody is blowing that situation up tenfold, right? If you lose that football game. Now it's like, well, what the hell is going on? Can Andy hold this team together? Is Travis Kelce, lost focus? Is he too focused on what's going on with his personal life and his girlfriend? It's just not a bad look. I did like Pat Mahomes at the end of the game, asking, pretty much calling out the NFL and asking them about, what rule change are you going to make this time? What are you going to do now that we've won again in overtime? And, it wasn't, everybody got the ball and it just so happened to play. I like that. I like calling them out on that, because you did change the rule. You did change the rule because the Chiefs were that dominant and their offense is that, was that unstoppable that defenses aren't able to stop them. So for me, you have to understand that these are professional athletes. And yeah, it might look like, oh my God, these guys it's just never going to stop. It can stop with proper execution and preparation. It can stop. Talent does play a huge factor in it, but you can stop that offense. The Niners were able to stop that offense quite a few times in the game. But complaining about any type of this overtime rule thing is no. The 49ers should have known the rules. They should have been better prepared, and that's it. There's no need to. There's no need to. The Niner for the 49ers side, and I'm kind of jumping off topic a bit here, but the Niners were saying, a lot of Niners were saying, oh well, we didn't know the rule, or the I think it was Kyle Juszczyk was saying that we thought that they were going to get some type of rebuttal. I'm like, no, you get 2 shots. You get 2 shots, and if you have the last shot, well, you win the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? You get a shot. You get a shot. The last person who has the lead wins the game. If you go in there with a tie, then obviously you're going to continue playing on that quarter. But not knowing the rules or saying that we thought this and that, be better prepared. It's a Super Bowl. You're a professional. Let's get to some of these comments real quick. Here I sit, brokenhearted, just waiting for Ivan's show to get started. Cuthbert, you're reciting poetry for me over here. I don't know why you're brokenhearted. I mean, you lost money on the Super Bowl. So did I. So I guess I'm right there with you, Cuthbert. Richard Gordon, it's great that Ivan's hosting the pregame for DDP. Yeah, I guess you could call it the DDP pregame, the Caleb Williams pregame or tape breakdown pregame show, or whatever you want to describe it. Douglas Cano, a great evening for some TTNL as always, bro. As always, Arazel, what's happening, Ivan? What's happening with you, bro? I'm doing well. A little under the weather. I've been dealing with a cough and sinus issues, but we're going to get through this show together, and it's going to be a solid one. And then after that, we're going to watch this, like I said before, we're going to watch this breakdown of the Caleb Williams tape. I finally have the promo up. Here we go. Actually, it's loading right now, but we got it now. Caleb Williams, the USC junior film, chapter 2, tonight, 7 o'clock Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time, with Draft Dr. Phil. I don't know if Shane's going to be there with him, but regardless, it's going to be a great show. We're all going to continue to beat the drum for whatever quarterback, whatever camp you're in, whether it be Justin or whether it be Caleb. But if you want quality breakdowns, if you want thorough breakdowns, and not just somebody repeating shit that they heard or giving you their biased opinion, we're going to go watch the tape together, and we're going to break it down. That's what Phil does. That's what he's been doing for forever. That's what him and Shane are going to be doing. That's what we're going to be doing with him, Cars, and also the smartest man, Shane Marsall, on Draft Mob. It's just what we do here. So if you want the best breakdown, the best coverage of Chicago Bears you could find, become a patron today, www.thetapeneverlies.com. All right, let's continue with some of these comments here. Let's see. Richard Gordon, just sickens me that the B shoe has 2 Super Bowl rings and we're still living off of 1985. Yeah, you know what? Matt Nagy, I guess that was like the grossest part, is having to deal with Matt Nagy winning another Super Bowl. I got no ill will towards him right now. I mean, obviously he wasn't a great coach for us. I got no ill will towards him, but I'll just say this. Matt Nagy wasn't calling plays and dictating what was going on out there. Andy Reid was in full control of the play calling, of the offense, and of what was going on out there. I thoroughly believe that. Matt Nagy might be a great coach. He might be a great, mentor and friend to Pat Mahomes. He might be the same to, other coaches and other players there. But I can assure you that game was fully controlled. That offensive game plan was fully under the control of Andy Reid. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind. Bullets. Let's see. Bullets. Yes, he did. They showed that bitch like 10 times and then showed her hugging Kelsey forever. The game sickening. Okay, bullets coming out. Bullets coming out guns blazing. Yeah, I didn't think they showed Taylor Swift that many times. I didn't think they showed her that many times. Every time they did show her, I was like, get her off the fucking screen. But they didn't show her a gratuitous amount of times like I thought they were going to before the game started. But nonetheless, I guess 10 is too much. 10 too many for bullets, and it's probably about right for me if you want to ask me. The game was trying to steal from God. How embarrassing is trying to steal from God? How embarrassing. I don't know what that means, Ernesto. Um, just shows that just shows that the quarterback is what matters. That's something that I think all Bears fans could take away from it. Brock Purdy, solid job. Was he? Did he leave throws out there? Yes. Was he perfect? No. Pat Mahomes. What more can you ask for? What more can you ask for? You're down again. It hasn't been a good year. You've been ridiculed. You've been questioned. You're the underdog coming into this game. The resilience that he showed, even Brock Purdy coming back and once you lose the lead, you come back right down the field and you retake the lead right back. That takes some stones. So good. I thought it was good quarterback play from both sides. Could Brock Purdy have been a little bit better? Yeah. Could that offensive line have blocked for Brock Purdy in certain situations in order for him to deliver a strike? Yes. So I mean, there's you could put a little blame on him, but I don't think you could say that Brock Purdy was the reason the San Francisco 49ers lost the football game. I think it falls on coaching. It falls on the shoulders of your coaching. It falls on, and I'm sure in that locker room they're saying it's everyone, which is right. But in my eyes, I'm looking at it like your coach had a few miscues. Your team couldn't hold on to the ball in certain situations. It kind of falls on you guys. It falls on you guys. Me in particular, I would say at the end of the game, in the biggest spots, Kyle Shanahan once again, and we're going to continue to hear that, until Kyle Shanahan wins the Super Bowl, that in these big spots, you start to see the flaws, or you start to see the mistakes, and the mistakes come out and you can't really overcome them. And it's just how it's been for him. Atlanta, when he was with the Falcons against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and you got the first Chiefs Super Bowl. Now you have this Chiefs Super Bowl. You had leads in both, and you were not able to seal the deal. Like players have something to say about it. I know people initially. I wanted to jump on Ray McCloud, but it hit the heel of the San Francisco blocker and took off. So that was kind of a freak accident. The one that kind of drives is kind of like, what if he doesn't, is that first drive with Christian McCaffrey. If he doesn't fumble the ball, maybe they go ahead and they go get his touchdown. Maybe they score right there, get some points some way, somehow. They were on fire. I felt like that first drive, the Niners were, up until that point, just doing what they wanted. And then the fumble happened. So like I said, points on the board. You could blame all parties on the San Francisco side. But right now, I just feel like Kyle Shanahan, you had opportunities to overcome this. Decisions that were made late in the game, some decisions that weren't made. You're the head coach. You know what I'm saying? You're the head coach. You're going to be the one who everybody's going to be asking and pointing fingers to. Like, what happened? What's going on? All right, guys, let's move on from the Super Bowl. Like I said, Super Bowl 58, said and done. Chiefs win 25-22 over the San Francisco 49ers. Time to look forward, right? Time to look forward. And I had mentioned before, quarterback matters. Douglas Connell. What's up, Dougie? Quarterback is what matters, and that's what we're all going to be talking about coming in, throughout this offseason. We've already been talking about it since the Bears ended their season a month ago or so. I still am thoroughly down with Caleb Williams. I just don't see how you can justify keeping Justin Fields around with the production, with what you've seen so far as a quarterback, purely as a passer, right? I don't think he's done enough as a passer to make you think, hey, we're gonna be comfortable. We're gonna build around Justin. And then, once we put all these pieces around Justin, suddenly Justin's game is going to elevate and we're going to start moving. I haven't seen that, right? I haven't seen that. I mean, he's had a little bit of help with DJ Moore. There's a lot of games where DJ Moore was the focus, which I'm all for, because you had one big playmaker at wide receiver. You had a pretty solid year out of Cole Kmet. I'm not going to say Cole Kmet is now a superstar in the league at tight end, but he had a solid year. Mooney disappeared on him. But even then, there was a bunch of times where I saw Mooney's frustration, where Justin would airmail a ball. Mooney's wide open running down the field, and the ball's, 10, 15 feet high, where Mooney can't get it. The ball's just out of reach. And these are plays that can't be given away. These are plays that would have been huge difference makers in the game, right? And I've seen it too many times from Justin where he doesn't hit a wide receiver. He has to readjust his positioning, his footwork. He has to double tap on the ball to get, the correct grip. You need it to be bam, bam decision making and throwing, right? You see it, you throw it. Bam, bam, not bam, let me double tap, reset my feet, and then decide to throw. It's the questions that we continue to ask about Justin Fields. They haven't been answered. This is where I sit. This is where I am. Caleb Williams for me. Alex, absolutely. Caleb Williams 2024. There's just not enough for me to give Justin Fields $50 million a year when his contract comes up. It's not enough. It's not enough. So regardless of where you sit, I still think Justin Fields is a good football player. Can he, make the adjustments to be a great quarterback? Maybe with the right coaching, maybe. I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to be here. I really don't believe it will be here. And I don't know who is going to be this quarterback guru that's going to come in and fix him. We talked about Shane Waldron being here, and Shane Waldron, what he did with Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith, he was more of a passer than he was more of a pure passer than a guy like Justin Fields with his athleticism when he was in college. Geno Smith, I felt like Geno Smith had the same issues as Justin Fields because he was on a bad Jets team with, bad coaching, not great playmaking, and you were kind of, left for the wolves in your first couple seasons as a player. That I could sympathize with Justin Fields. But after the fact, this is year 2 with that coaching staff, with the Luke Getsy, with the Matt Eberflus. You've been talking about how comfortable and how happy and how much of a good relationship in year 1 you had with Luke Getsy. Then you come back in year 2 after a 0-4 start. You start, exuding frustration. You run it back. You come in and you take it back, and then we continue to see the lack of consistency between you and your offensive coordinator. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense to keep a guy who hasn't been as consistent. Like, we got rid of Luke Getsy because he wasn't consistent. Why would we keep the quarterback who's not consistent as well? It goes hand in hand. Both of them were doing things that were very, very questionable, very frustrating to fans. I was there every game, wondering whether Justin's going to perform up to par. Every single game, just worried that, hey, is Justin going to be able to overcome the naysayers this game? Some games he did, right? One or two games he was able to do it. Washington, a couple other games here and there. But there's just never been a time where I was 100% comfortable with Justin Fields going out there and being, just the top dog in the game, just controlling what was out, controlling the defense, controlling the offense to perfection, knowing what was coming at him. It looked sketch from the beginning this season. It looked like he had no clue what he was being told to do or what was being run. And even Luke Getsy, like to a point, not all of the plays were terrible, right? Not all of them were terrible. Calling 15 fucking screens, that's horrible. like if you're sitting there and you're, don't know how you're gonna operate on offense in order to break through against a defense, 15 screens probably isn't the right move. I'm just saying. Coach Dre, no need to apologize. What's up? How are you doing? We're just getting people ready for the breakdown coming up here in about 30 minutes. DDP's Tape Never Lies, Caleb Williams film, the UFC, the junior film, chapter 2 on the Patreon channel. So if you want to see this, become a patron today, www.thetapeneverlies.com. 3 Super Bowls for Kyle. Forgot to run the football to close the game. Ninos knows. Ninos knows. He knows that was an issue. And I wanted to mention, I know I mentioned Shane Waldron. That was kind of one of my red flags about Shane Waldron is that, yeah, he passes the football a lot. And Seattle got away from the run in certain situations last season. Their fan base can tell you that, the numbers can point it out. And I'm sure the tape can show you the same thing, is that they got away from the football or from running the football at certain times, just like San Francisco did last night. And they did that before as well. So for me, that's something that we need to be cautious about with Shane Waldron. We have 2 good running backs. I think Roschon Johnson is going to take a step. Khalil Herbert, as long as you don't have him in on blocking downs, I like how he runs the football. I wouldn't be surprised if you add a running back. If you're able to add draft picks, I wouldn't be surprised if you either add a running back late in the draft or you find some undrafted running back, or to some effect, you're gonna add another running back here, but not sticking with the run in certain situations, right? How many times have we seen that come back to bite offensive coordinators, especially young offensive coordinators, in the ass? In this case, it came back to bite a veteran offensive coach and Kyle Shanahan, and I felt like he should have known better. You were cutting through the KC defense with McCaffrey with ease, and I just don't know why you would get away from something like that. Why you would take the ball out of your best player's hand for I don't care how many amount of plays. He was able to do things against Kansas City, even when it seemed like there was no running room. He still found ways to get positive yardage. So, in my opinion, I totally agree. They should have stuck with the run. They should have focused on McCaffrey a little bit more, and they might have been, and they might have fared a little bit better. Dibs, yes, DDP's breakdown will be on the patron side tonight. If you are a patron, well, thank you. If not, become a patron today, www.thetapeneverlies.com. Ivan, you hear Brad Biggs' interview on the Score today? I did not, Mike. I'll have to check that out later. What do you say? Because Brad Biggs, I mean, he's been around. He says things that can frustrate me, and then he says things that are, obviously legit. So I kind of take Brad Biggs as he comes. I'm not, a hater, but yeah, he's all right. He is what he is. So I don't know. What do you say? Let me know. Hector, thank you for the $5, buddy. Shanahan calling timeout and telling his D coordinator to change the play. Yeah, there was, I just felt like if you're a little bit nervous on what they're going to be calling, if you're a head coach, you have that right. But then again, Steve Wilkes was calling a pretty solid game up until that point. Again, it's kind of a toss up for me there. Uh, you being the head coach, if you see something you don't like, by all means, call a timeout and discuss it with your coaches. But on the other hand, being the devil's advocate, like, hey, Wilkes was calling a hell of a game. He was calling a hell of a game, man. He was calling a hell of a game. With you look how they came back at the end. Yeah, there was certain things that happened that allowed that, but they gave up 25 points to the Chiefs in overtime. An overtime game, giving up 25 points to the Chiefs. You held them. You held them to what, 6 points up until late in the third. Your offense, once again, the offense just didn't show up. The defense for the Chiefs stood up. Your offense wasn't able to get back on track. Part of that was not, reestablishing the run with Christian McCaffrey. So, I mean, like, I agree. Yeah, it could have went either way. I mean, I could see your point. Him calling timeout, it could have cost them. Maybe Steve Wilkes had a better call. Who knows? But he does reserve the right as a head coach, if he doesn't like it, in the Super Bowl, to call a stop to the game and get on the same page. Mike, he said the only thing left is which QB they will draft. Justin has ran his course in Chicago. Well, see, on that point, I agree. To that point, I agree. Is Justin? I like him as a player. I think he's going to get better, but will he get better enough to ever be that dude? I don't know, man. I don't see it. Athleticism begins to fade at a certain point, and he wasn't running like he was running last year, this year. So there needs to be a complete revamping of Justin Fields, uh, his mechanics. He's got to be a revamping of his mindset out there. He has to have a There has to be a sense of urgency with Justin Fields. Too many times we've watched Justin Fields. He looks, yeah, he looks calm, but it looks like he's just operating in slow motion out there. There needs to be quickness. There needs to be, like I said, sense of urgency, tempo, and that you just don't get with Justin Fields. Chi-Town's finest, Justin Justin Love. I cried when we drafted him, and he let us down. Can't beat Green Bay, nor any elite quarterback in the league. Yeah, that's another. He hasn't beaten Green Bay. He hasn't been able to, um, in marquee matchups, been able to beat top tier quarterbacks. Now, is that all on him? No, obviously he's not out there playing defense trying to stop quarterbacks. But at the same time, the offense isn't putting up the numbers we expect for them to compete with some of these top tier offenses in the league. The defense can be solid. The defense can be, what it is, good or bad, but the offense still needs to be able to put up points. And ours just doesn't do that consistently enough for me to feel comfortable with Justin as a quarterback here on out. Knows. Ivan, last year we had 100 million as active roster. Second lowest was 160. This year he the top third of the season. We had pedo OCs, dummy running back coordinators, and a choppy O line. Yeah, I understand. I understand. It was one frustrating season. It was one frustrating season. Like, I with the with the amount of hype that coming in, with the hope that we had coming in, got Green Bay. Aaron's gone. Fuck them. Go. Say bye. Go wherever the hell you want to be in New Jersey. We don't give a shit. We're gonna come here. Game 1, beat the shit out of the Packers. Nope. Game 2. All right, we're gonna bounce back. Game 2. Ugh. Game 3. No freaking way. Game 4 against the Broncos. That was the one that was just, you thought the world was going to collapse because of how bad it was, about how good the Bears are playing. You thought they were going to overcome this poor start, and no, it had to continue on. So on top of that, all the outside shit with the OCs or with the DC, with the running backs coach. I don't put that on the players, but it couldn't have helped, right? It couldn't have helped. It's knowing that, hey man, they're investigating your defensive coordinator. Hey man, they're investigating your running backs coach. I don't know what the running backs coach did, but I guess it wasn't proper conduct. Regardless of that, looking at this year from last year, we still have a lot to look forward to. We still have free agency on top of this year's draft. I think they take Caleb Williams at 1. And at this point, now thinking about it more and more, 9, in my opinion, should be up for grabs, right? You can add an extra pick if you get somebody moving up from, like, let's say the late teens, maybe a couple extra picks. If you get somebody moving up from the late teens to jump up back into the top 10 to get a guy, even in the middle teens, you'll get an extra player or an extra pick for that number 9. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But in my opinion, right now, the way I've been seeing it, the way I've been thinking about it, 1 is Caleb Williams. 9 is traded for, multiple picks, if not maybe an extra pick if it's high enough. I don't know what the compensation would be or which team would want to jump. But like I said, if it's somebody in the later teens, I'm looking at, obviously you're swapping picks, and then maybe 2, maybe if they have a second round pick, if it's high enough, take that. Maybe take a late round pick if they have it. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm just looking at how can we maximize while taking the best player, because the assumption is that you got to trade number 1 for this huge haul. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't we take the best player? If Caleb Williams is the best player, we take him, because we're going to, we obviously still have questions at quarterback. We go ahead, we trade 9, and we try to maximize, with that pick and see how it goes. I understand the haul has gotten everybody's eyes wide, and everybody's, we could get this, and then it. Okay. But if you have the best player, if you have the best quarterback, more specifically, we've seen what a guy like Pat Mahomes could do. We've seen what a Brock Purdy could do. You need to have the right quarterback. It's not just saying that he's Pat Mahomes or he's Brock Purdy, but pointing to the quarterbacks that are able to execute their offenses. Yeah, I would want him to be like those guys. I would want him to try to execute the offense as such. Try to be in command as some of these guys in the league. Justin just isn't. He's not in those levels. He's not at those levels. I think Caleb Williams has the mindset and has the skill set to be at that level quicker than we think. All right, that is enough. We're going to get into the Hall of Famers. We've got 20 minutes until the breakdown show on the Patreon channel. Make sure you become a patron if you're not a patron already. It's going to be a great one. Chapter 2, the USC junior film, DDP, breaking it down, coming up here in about 20 minutes, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. But let's go ahead and talk about these Hall of Famers. I was very happy to hear all three names. And, Julius Peppers, we'll start there. Julius Peppers is a guy who, yeah, I'm imagining he's going to be a Panther. Like, I imagine that he'd be a Panther, but he was a Chicago Bear for about 4 years. He was a captain on the team. I rooted for him. You rooted for him. He was, he fit right in. He fit right in with the Urlachers, the Briggs, the Tillmans. He fit right in with that defense and that mentality, and that style of play. And I embraced him. I know Chicago embraced him when he came, to the team. It was kind of like, oh, holy crap! Like no, we did not just get a Julius Peppers. Like it was kind of those moments, like a Khalil Mack moment, a Cutler moment. Even though Cutler was probably a little bit different because quarterback position, everything like that. But it was one of those moments where I was like, yes, we're going after it. We're going to get a top player. We're going to be right back into the mix. Nonetheless, it never panned out for us with Peppers, to get a title. But I still appreciated his play. I appreciated him going out there week in and week out, representing the Chicago Bears, giving his all and being effective. Like that's something that, for me, if we're going to sign a big free agent, may he be effective. Because if he's not effective, it's just going to sit in your gut that entire time. Like, man, we spent this amount. We could have had him or we could have got another player. And this guy's not living up to the hype. It could sit in your gut. But Julius Peppers wasn't that for this team. He came in. He gave us quality reps. He gave us quality years of his career. And I respect that. And I appreciate that. And he is a Hall of Famer, no doubt. Number 2 on my list, obviously, anytime, Devin Hester. Devin Hester, watching that rookie year, watching how he helped the Bears get to the Super Bowl, watching every return of Devin Hester's as a Bear that I could, every single time was the most electrifying play that you've watched that day. Every single time he touched the ball in those early years with the Bears, it was must-see TV. Don't get up. Don't move. You have to pee, hold it, because they're about to punt to Devin Hester. And that's that, before he got there, obviously we had great returners before. You had Brian Mitchell, you had Dante Hall, you had great returner. Brian Westbrook, I believe, even returned for the Eagles for a while. Regardless, you had great returners. Who else might they? Josh Cribbs, you have Cordell Patterson. But none of those guys made the NFL change rules. None of those guys made people stop what they're doing on special teams, on a special teams play. Stop what they're doing and watch the game. That was due to Devin Hester. The most electrifying return man, the most dangerous guy on the football field returning the football, period. Devin Hester. And it was just a pleasure watching his career as a Chicago Bear. It was, watching him break the record with the Falcons. I still was happy for him, even if it wasn't with the Bears. You were rooting for Devin to get it because of all the work he had put in, because of all the electrifying returns you saw beforehand. The Super Bowl, not to mention, the biggest one of all, the Super Bowl, the return in the Super Bowl. We thought that was it, right? Brian Urlacher was on Keeping It 100, and he even said it. He's like, when Devin runs that back, you think that's it, baby? That's it. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna kick ass, and we're gonna win the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But thank you for the memories, Devin. Every single time you touched the ball in those Bears years, you held your breath and you're waiting for something special to happen. Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer. Congratulations to him. Now, this last guy, obviously, we all know who he is. Super Bowl champion. One hell of a personality. A member of the Four Horsemen. Steve Mongo McMichael. finally getting into the Hall of Fame. Long overdue. Some will say long overdue. Mongo sits third, I believe, with third amongst defensive tackles and nose tackles with sacks with 95. Also added in 100 or 838 solo tackles, 13 forced fumbles in 213 games. Steve Mongo McMichael was a guy that was pretty much. I mean, he was larger than life in a lot of ways. I was able to meet him one time, or I believe it was maybe it might have been two times, but the one I recall, I was a young man. I was working stock at what was it, Alta Beauty Products downtown, working in the back room, stocking up makeup and perfume and God knows what else. We'd go over to the Tilted Kilt, me and the guys from Loss Prevention. We'd go over to the Tilted Kilt to hang out, have some drinks, you know, take in the scenery. And I guess Mongo was there promoting. He was doing some type of promotional thing or what have you. He was there. You know, they had him sitting there. He was talking to people, showing off the Super Bowl ring. I was able to hold the Super Bowl ring and I was going to put it on, but then I looked at how giant this man's fingers were. It would have been embarrassing. It would have been like it'd have been like a little kid putting on their dad's ring. So I was just like, I'd rather just go ahead and admire it, from afar. But talking to the man, listening to some of his stories, he was just a dynamic personality. I only had that time to really uh, experience Steve Mongo McMichael. I'm obviously I'm not his friends, his former teammates, but the man could control the room, man. He was very electrifying. He was very dynamic. Uh, he just would make you laugh. It was very funny. It was very fun being around the dude. Like I remember that much. And although it was just one time, like you could tell why a lot of people really love and care for Steve Mongo McMichael. And I'm just happy that I was able to go ahead and meet him and experience just a fraction of what, people, boasted about him and stuff like that. So I was very pleased to have that experience. And I'm very pleased to have Steve Mongo McMichael in the Hall of Fame. It was well deserved. Like I said, sucks that it couldn't have been while Mongo was healthy because I wanted to, like I said, the guy was very just he everything he said you were listening to him. Everything was very captivating, very sharp wit, sharp with his tongue. I would have loved to seen Steve McMichael going up to the podium after all this time and giving a speech that would that would make probably everybody laugh, everybody gasp, and maybe even cry. But good luck to Mongo. Congratulations to him. It's long overdue, well earned, well deserved. All three of these players, well deserved careers, well deserved inductions into the Football Hall of Fame. All right, guys, that is it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and scram. Go, I know I worked in the stock room. The loss prevention guys and I just went over to the Tilted Kilt because I was like the only other dude in there. So we'd go over to the Tilted Kilt, like I said, have some libations, check out the scenery, and head home from there. But anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Make sure you become a patron if you're not a patron. This is going to be a great show. DDP breaking down the USC junior film of Caleb Williams, Chapter 2, coming up here in about 10 minutes. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. It's been a fun time. You guys have been great. Got a lot more people than I thought I was going to get tonight, so that's awesome too. But yeah, it's been a fun year. Now that the Super Bowl is over, our ship doesn't stop. You guys know that. We got the offseason coming up, draft mob and whatnot. Make sure you stick with us. It's going to be a wild and fun offseason. I guarantee you that. With this, civil war that the Chicago Bears fan base is going through, you're gonna get a lot of dynamic takes. You're gonna get a lot of back and forth, and you're gonna have a lot of fun. I really guarantee that on the Tape Never Lies. So I appreciate you guys. Become patrons today if you're not already. This has been another Bears show on the Tape Never Lies Network. Peace.